Welcome to our deep dive, into this whole world of power dynamics.
Okay.
We're going to be looking at
Yeah.
Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power, and we've got a whole collection of fables we're going to be pulling from.
Cool.
Um, and you'll be surprised how much you can learn about
Yeah.
navigating the power plays of today
It's amazing.
from looking back
Yeah.
into the past.
It is. It's kind of crazy how these sources from all these different
Right.
eras and cultures
Yeah.
all point to the same
Yeah.
basic truths
Yeah.
about, ambition and strategy and influence.
Yeah. So we're going to jump right into the first law,
Yeah.
which is Law 1.
Okay.
Never outshine the master.
Right.
And Robert Greene illustrates this using the story of Nicolas Fouquet,
Okay.
who was Louis XIV's finance minister.
Yep.
And Fouquet built this just incredible chateau
Oh, wow.
called Vaux-le-Vicomte.
Okay.
And he was hoping, obviously, to impress the king.
Right.
But Louis XIV saw this as a threat. He saw it as a sign that Fouquet was
Yeah.
becoming too powerful.
Right.
And it really kind of speaks to that deep-seated insecurity
Yeah.
that I think a lot of people in power actually
Absolutely.
really.
When someone in a superior position
Yeah.
feels threatened by someone,
Yeah.
it can trigger that envy and
Yes.
that desire to sabotage.
Yeah. And I mean, for Fouquet, this really backfired.
Yeah.
I mean, spectacularly.
Big time.
It makes you wonder how often this happens
Yeah.
in a more subtle way
Totally.
in workplaces today.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
instead of trying to impress by outshining,
Right.
I think a much more effective approach is to make your superiors feel more superior.
Oh.
Make them feel intelligent,
Mhm.
sought after,
Okay.
indispensable.
So guide their decisions
Exactly.
without making them feel
Yes, threatened.
Yeah, almost like being the power behind the throne.
Right. Yeah.
But it's important to remember that this isn't about manipulation.
Yeah. Just for its own sake.
Yeah.
It's about, using your awareness of these
Yeah.
dynamics to achieve
Right.
good outcomes.
Yeah, to achieve a win-win in a sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so this leads perfectly into Law 2.
Okay.
Never put too much trust in friends.
Hmm.
Learn how to use enemies.
Right.
That sounds a little counterintuitive.
It does.
Are you suggesting we all,
Well,
cozy up to our enemies?
not exactly.
Okay.
But Robert Greene does make a really interesting point.
Yeah.
And it's echoed in a story about Emperor Sung.
Okay.
He was afraid that his generals
Yeah.
were going to betray him.
Right.
And so he offered them these luxurious retirements.
Oh.
He essentially disarmed them with comfort.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
So he neutralized them
Yeah.
by turning them into
Exactly.
grateful retirees.
Yes.
Right? So how can we apply this in our own lives? Who are the potential enemies we should be looking at?
When we think about former competitors of yours
Right.
who might share your goals now.
Okay.
Or individuals who might seem opposed to your ideas.
Okay.
But have knowledge or skills that you could actually leverage.
Right. So you're saying that sometimes if a former opponent can become a valuable ally,
Okay.
like when companies hire
Exactly.
former regulators to
Yeah.
come and work for them?
That's a classic example.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's about turning a potential adversary
Right.
into a strategic asset.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly.
So that's Law 2.
Yeah.
Now on to Law 3. Conceal your intentions.
Okay.
And the source material uses this really funny anecdote about this con man
Okay.
named Yellow Kid Weil.
Okay.
And he was pulling off this scam,
Uh-huh.
and he was using a staged boxing match as a distraction.
Wow.
So what's the takeaway there?
Well, it really highlights the power of misdirection.
Right.
By
creating a distraction,
Yeah.
you shift attention away from what you're really doing.
Right.
And I mean, think about how this plays out in politics, in marketing,
Yeah.
in everyday negotiations.
So the best deception uses the familiar.
Right.
It uses that sort of
Mundane, yeah.
mundane as cover.
Yeah.
It's almost like a magic trick.
It is.
You
It is
think
like
of-
a magician's sleight of hand.
Right. You're so focused on what the magician's doing.
Yeah.
You don't even notice what he's doing with his other hand.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing in these other areas.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of a
Yeah.
conceptual sleight of hand.
Right.
And another fascinating example of that is the story of the Ethiopian Emperor Haile Selassie.
Okay.
Now, he really mastered the
Yeah.
art of appearing weak to disarm his rivals.
Weakness.
Yeah.
That is
So
where.
he was known for his, gentle demeanor.
Okay.
He would even appear obsequious at times.
Right.
And it led people to underestimate him, and that allowed him to kind of maneuver behind the scenes.
So he was playing the long game.
Exactly.
He was using his perceived weakness
Right.
as a strategic advantage.
Yes, yes. And, it's so counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but it can be so powerful.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
It is. And it reminds us that power isn't always about brute force.
Yeah.
It's often about
Yeah.
perception.
Perception.
It's about manipulating your opponent's expectations.
Right.
It's about choosing the right mask to wear for the occasion.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Law 5. So much depends on reputation.
Right.
Guard it with your life.
Yeah.
And this is illustrated in the story of Mitsuya,
Okay.
whose good deeds were actually reinterpreted negatively
Right.
after his reputation was tarnished.
Oh, wow.
And it emphasizes how fragile reputation can be.
It does.
Like, it's a currency.
It is. It is.
You know, that you earn through your actions, your words,
That's
how you
it.
present yourself to the world. So if reputation is so crucial,
Right.
how do we cultivate it?
Well,
And how do we protect it?
I mean, the source material mentions P.T. Barnum and Thomas Edison
Yeah.
as two guys who really mastered this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Barnum understood
Yeah.
how to play with public perception.
Right.
He knew that sometimes a little bit of controversy
Mm-hmm.
could actually enhance his reputation.
Oh, wow.
He even embraced the term humbug
Right.
and turned it into a selling point.
It's amazing how he controlled the narrative.
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have Edison,
Yeah.
who was a genius at self-promotion.
Right.
He was a master of generating buzz around his inventions.
So they both understood that perception is more powerful than reality.
Absolutely.
Okay, so moving on to a law that really resonates with me. Law 9, win through your actions,
Okay.
never through argument.
Right.
And this is something that I've found to be true in my own life.
Yeah.
That if you try and win an argument, you often damage the relationship, even if you're
right, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And Robert Greene uses the example here of the Roman general Coriolanus,
Okay.
who was a brilliant strategist, but his bluntness and his constant arguments with the people led to his downfall.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's like you said, even if you win the argument,
Yeah.
you often lose the relationship.
Totally.
And sometimes the relationship is more valuable.
Absolutely.
And it just highlights the importance of picking your battles.
He does.
You know, sometimes it's more strategic to influence subtly,
Right.
to persuade through action rather than through confrontation.
Totally.
It reminds me of that Leonardo da Vinci fable, the nut and the campanile,
Right.
where the nut is trying to like force its way out,
Yeah.
but it ends up destroying the very structure that was sheltering it.
It's a great connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both examples really show that forceful, confrontational approach can be self-defeating.
Right.
Sometimes you need a gentler approach to get what you want.
Yeah.
A more indirect approach.
Okay, so let's move on to Law 10, infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky.
Okay.
And we see this in the story of Joe Orton and Kenneth Halliwell,
Okay.
where Orton's success fueled Halliwell's envy.
Wow.
And this led to this just tragic, end.
Yeah, and that story really highlights that concept of emotional osmosis.
Right.
We're inevitably influenced
Yeah.
by the people we surround ourselves with.
Right.
Their emotions rub off on us. Their
Right.
energy, their outlook on life.
It's like that saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Exactly.
Right.
So you got to choose your associations wisely.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with positive influences.
Right. People who uplift you, people who challenge you, people who inspire you to be your best self. Okay, so speaking of influence, Law 12 advises, use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim.
Okay.
How can we use honesty and generosity strategically, especially when we're trying to, navigate these power dynamics?
Well, think about Victor Lustig, the con man who sold the Eiffel Tower.
Right.
He used selective honesty with his marks to gain their trust and to disarm their suspicions.
So it's like calculated vulnerability in a way?
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
And generosity plays a similar role.
It does. It does.
Right.
It makes you appear less threatening.
Right.
More approachable.
So it's this really interesting paradox.
It is.
You're appearing generous and honest.
Yeah.
But you're also
That's this deeper game.
playing this deeper game.
That's the essence of this law. It's about understanding the psychology of who you're dealing with.
Okay, so now we're on to Law 14. Pose as a friend, work as a spy. This sounds a little ethically ambiguous.
Well, this law really emphasizes the importance of gathering information.
Okay. Right.
Robert Greene really stresses observation.
Right.
Paying attention to those little cues that reveal people's true intentions.
So be observant, but also approachable.
Yes, like a detective.
Right. Yeah. It makes me think of Cesar Borgia.
Oh, yeah.
Who used a spy's information to turn his enemy's trap against them.
He was a master of that.
Right.
He really understood that knowledge is power.
Yeah, but where's the line?
Right.
Between gathering information strategically and just straight up spying.
I mean, it's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
And it comes down to your own ethical compass and the specific situation.
But the core principle is be aware of the power of information.
Yes.
Who has it?
Yeah.
How can you get it? And how can you use it to your advantage?
Yeah, it's not necessarily about being sneaky or manipulative, but just being informed, observant.
Be a good listener.
Yeah.
Pick up on those subtle cues.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Law 17. Keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability.
Right.
Now that sounds like a master manipulator.
Well, it's a powerful technique.
Yeah.
Like any tool it can be used for good or for evil.
Yeah.
And I think the key is the element of surprise.
Right.
When you disrupt people's expectations, it creates unease.
Right.
They're not sure what you're going to do next.
It makes me think of Harry Houdini, the escape artist.
Oh, yeah.
He had that air of unpredictability.
He did.
He always kept you guessing.
He was a master showman.
Right.
Yeah.
But this principle applies beyond the stage.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
When someone's predictable, they're easier to control. Okay. When you're unpredictable, you hold the advantage.
So keep them guessing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Keep your options open.
Okay.
Never let them feel like they have you figured out.
Okay, now Law 28 seems to contradict this a little bit.
Okay.
Interaction with boldness.
Right.
So which is it?
It's about understanding when each approach is most effective.
Right.
Boldness is key when you're trying to make a strong impression.
Okay.
Establish your authority.
Okay.
Or seize an opportunity.
So when it's time for that power move,
Go all in, no hesitation.
Yeah. Hesitation can be fatal.
Okay.
People respect decisive action.
Right.
Even if they disagree with it.
I mean, think about like Alexander the Great.
Totally.
Napoleon, Steve Jobs.
Absolutely.
These were all people who just had that boldness.
Yeah. They were audacious. They took risks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not just about those big, huge gestures. It's also about the smaller, everyday decisions.
It is.
Sometimes it's just saying no when you need to.
You got it. Those are all acts of boldness.
Right.
That can enhance your personal power.
Yeah. Okay, so now, Law 35.
Okay.
Master the art of timing.
Right.
This is a good one for today's world.
It is.
It really is.
It is a fast-paced world.
And they use the example of the U.S. punitive expedition against Pancho Villa,
right,
where the Americans' impatience actually backfired.
It did.
Disastrously.
They were eager for a quick victory.
Yeah.
And they ended up in this prolonged
right.
and ultimately futile campaign.
It actually strengthened
did.
Villa's position.
It's a valuable lesson for us.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it underscores the importance of patience,
right,
of waiting for the right moment,
of observing,
right,
allowing events to unfold.
Yes.
This reminds me of Henry VIII and how methodical he was in securing his divorce from Catherine of Aragon. He was waiting for that perfect moment to break from the Catholic Church.
It's a brilliant comparison.
Right.
It shows that timing can be more important than brute force or even cleverness.
So sometimes the best course of action is to just wait.
It is.
Be patient.
Yeah.
Observe.
Yep.
Allow events to unfold naturally.
Absolutely.
And then seize that right moment.
Play the long game.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
Law 37. Create compelling spectacles.
Right.
The source material really emphasizes here the power of visual imagery and symbolism.
Absolutely.
And uses Harry Houdini as an example.
Yeah.
His escapes weren't just feats of physical skill.
No, they were theatrical performances.
Right.
Designed to amaze and mystify.
They were designed to evoke those emotions.
Totally.
Yeah.
And symbols and images can communicate instantly.
Right.
They bypass the need for explanation.
Right. It's a visual language.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. You know, they evoke powerful emotions and they create lasting memories.
Think of Louis XIV as the Sun King.
Oh, yeah.
Or Diane de Poitiers, mistress to Henri II of France.
Yeah.
They used symbolism to elevate themselves.
They did.
To almost like a goddess-like status.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, they understood that power is not just about actions and words, but about the image.
The image.
You project.
Yeah. So it's like creating a visual language.
It is.
That reinforces your power.
Yeah.
Your message.
It's making me think about my own visual presentation.
Right.
Maybe I need a wardrobe upgrade.
Right. But it's not just about clothing.
It's not.
It's about your body language, your surroundings.
Totally.
Even your online presence.
Yeah. Think about the message you want to convey.
Yeah.
And then find ways to reinforce that visually.
Okay, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's talk about one more law.
Okay.
Law 45.
Yeah.
Preach the need for change.
Right.
But never reform too much at once. This is particularly relevant today.
It is. We live in a rapidly changing world.
We do. Yeah.
And Robert Greene uses the example here of Henry VIII.
Right.
And his break from the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Which, while it was a necessary change, it caused a lot of turmoil.
A lot of upheaval.
A lot of upheaval, right?
Yeah. He argues that even essential reforms should be introduced gradually.
Right.
Not as sudden revolutions.
It's that balance.
It is.
Between progress and stability.
Stability.
Yeah.
Yeah. People are creatures of habit.
Right.
They resist change.
Yeah.
Even when it's good for them.
Even when it's beneficial.
Yeah. So the key is to make the change feel familiar.
Right.
To connect it to the past and to introduce it gradually.
This makes me think of the Japanese tea ceremony.
Okay.
And those masters like Senrikyu.
Yeah.
Who would subtly adapt the ceremony to the guests' tastes and expectations.
Yeah.
So they were making change feel seamless.
It's a perfect illustration.
Yeah.
It really shows that lasting change requires patient strategy.
Right. And a respect for tradition.
It's been quite a journey so far.
It has.
I'm feeling kind of overwhelmed and empowered at the same time.
Well, that's the beauty of knowledge.
That's true.
It can be challenging and liberating.
It is.
Yeah.
So why don't we take a pause here?
That's good.
And we'll continue our exploration of power dynamics in the next part of our deep dive.
Great.
Looking forward to it.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the 48 Laws of Power.
Okay.
We're going to pick up where we left off.
Yeah.
And uncover more of these timeless strategies for navigating power.
Sounds good.
All right, so let's jump right into Law 18. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous.
Okay.
Now, this one seems counterintuitive.
It does.
I mean, don't we all want to build walls to protect ourselves from rivals and enemies?
It's tempting to seek safety in isolation, to build these metaphorical fortresses around ourselves.
But Robert Greene actually argues that this can be a trap.
A trap? How so?
Well, when we isolate ourselves, we cut ourselves off from valuable information, from potential alliances, and from opportunities.
So we actually make ourselves more vulnerable.
Exactly. Isolation breeds paranoia.
Okay.
And it weakens our ability to adapt to changing circumstances.
It makes me think of those rulers who shut themselves away in their palaces, surrounded by yes men.
Totally. They lose touch with reality.
They do.
And they become easy targets.
Yeah. It's so important to cultivate a network of contact, people who can offer different perspectives.
Absolutely.
People who can challenge our assumptions.
Yeah.
People who can just keep us informed.
It's about building bridges.
Right.
Not walls.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Count Law 20. Do not commit to anyone.
Okay.
This sounds a little cynical.
Well, it's not about being heartless or distrustful. It's more about maintaining your independence.
Okay.
And avoiding entanglements that could limit your options.
So strategic detachment.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, not allowing yourself to be swayed by emotions or personal loyalties.
Robert Greene uses the example of Queen Elizabeth I.
He does.
Who was a master at navigating those treacherous waters of European politics.
She was.
And she did it by refusing to commit to any one faction or alliance.
She played the game masterfully.
She did. She always kept her options open.
She did.
That's a powerful strategy.
It is.
Especially when alliances are constantly shifting.
Absolutely. By refusing to commit prematurely, you maintain your flexibility and your freedom to act in your own best interest.
So you stay agile.
Exactly.
Okay, on to a law that seems really relevant in today's world of social media and personal branding, Law 22. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power.
Right.
So tell me more about that one.
Well, this law is about recognizing when to yield, when to strategically surrender to gain a greater advantage.
It's like playing possum, making your opponent think you're defeated.
Right.
So they let their guard down.
Yeah, and then you strike back when they least expect it.
Like the Trojan horse.
Exactly.
Right.
The Trojans thought they'd won.
Yeah.
And they brought this seemingly harmless horse into their city.
Right.
Only to be surprised by the Greek soldiers hiding inside.
That's a perfect example.
It is.
How can we apply that principle, though, in like less dramatic situations?
Well, think about negotiations.
Okay.
Sometimes it's more effective to appear to concede on a minor point to gain a bigger advantage later.
Okay.
Or if you're facing a really powerful adversary, instead of a head-on confrontation, you might strategically retreat to regroup, gather your resources, and then choose a more favorable battleground.
So it's all about choosing your battles wisely, knowing when to push forward, and knowing when to strategically retreat.
You got it.
Okay. Law 25. Recreate yourself.
Okay.
This seems to be about self-invention.
It is.
About crafting a persona that commands attention and respect.
It's about recognizing that we all have the power to shape our own image.
Okay.
To create a compelling narrative that captivates others.
So it's like personal branding?
It is.
But on a much deeper level.
On a deeper level, yeah.
I use P.T. Barnum as an example.
Right.
The master of self-invention.
Who was?
He understood how to create that larger-than-life persona that just drew in the crowds.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid to be bold or controversial to create a spectacle.
Yeah, but it's not just about outward appearances.
No, it's not.
It's about cultivating those qualities that you want to project.
Yeah.
Confidence, competence, charisma.
Absolutely.
It's about taking control of your narrative and crafting an image that commands that attention and respect.
It's about becoming the architect of your own destiny.
Wow.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Law 27.
Yeah.
Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following.
Right.
That sounds a little ominous.
Well, it does.
Yeah.
But this law really taps into our human desire to believe in something.
Right.
To belong to a group.
Yeah.
To follow a leader.
And we see this with cult leaders.
We do.
With charismatic politicians, even with successful entrepreneurs.
Yeah. They understand how to tap into that need.
So it's about creating that sense of shared purpose, that sense of belonging, of being part of something bigger than yourself.
Exactly. And there are many ethical ways to apply this principle.
Okay.
Think about building a strong company culture.
Right.
Or inspiring a team to achieve a common goal.
Okay.
It's about creating a sense of loyalty and commitment.
Okay. So inspiring people to believe in something and to follow your lead.
Exactly.
All right. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew.
Okay.
This sounds a little intimidating.
It does a thumbscrew.
Yeah, what is a thumbscrew?
What's a metaphor? For finding someone's weakness.
Okay.
Their vulnerability, their point of leverage.
Their pressure point.
Yes, everyone has a thumbscrew.
Okay.
Something they deeply desire.
Okay.
Something they fear or are insecure about.
So understanding their motivations.
Exactly.
Figuring out what makes them tick.
Yeah, once you understand what drives someone, what their hopes and fears are, you can tailor your approach.
But this seems like it could be used in a manipulative way.
It can be used for good or for evil.
Right.
A skilled negotiator might use this understanding to find common ground.
Right.
And create a win-win agreement.
So it's about using that knowledge responsibly.
It is.
Ethically.
Yeah.
Okay. Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one.
Okay.
So this is all about confidence and self-belief.
It's about projecting an aura of authority, of deserving respect and admiration.
So fake it till you make it?
Not exactly.
Okay.
It's not about pretending to be something you're not.
It's about cultivating those qualities that command respect. Confidence, decisiveness, integrity.
Okay.
Think of it as embodying the best qualities of a leader.
And we see how people gravitate towards those who exude confidence and charisma.
Absolutely.
When you act like a king, people treat you like one.
They do.
Okay, this is all starting to make sense.
Good.
We're seeing how these laws are interconnected.
They are.
How they build upon each other
to
create this framework for understanding power.
It's not about applying them in isolation, but understanding how they work together.
Yeah. Okay, Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge.
Okay.
This is like that old saying.
It is.
Living well is the best revenge.
Exactly.
Right.
It's about recognizing that sometimes the best course of action is to just walk away.
Okay.
To disengage from things that are draining you.
So choose your battles wisely.
Exactly.
Don't waste time and energy.
Right. On things that are ultimately unattainable.
Or unworthy of your attention.
Unworthy of your attention, right?
Yeah.
It's like the fox and the grapes.
It is.
The fox can't reach the grapes, right?
So he convinces himself they were sour anyway.
Classic example of how to reframe our thinking to avoid dwelling on things we can't control.
Absolutely.
Focus on what we can achieve.
Right.
Okay, Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others.
Okay.
How can we be true to ourselves, but also conform to social expectations?
It's about finding that balance.
Okay.
Between individuality and conformity.
Okay.
Robert Greene says it's wise to blend in to avoid drawing unnecessary attention to yourself.
Especially in potentially hostile environments.
Especially, yeah.
So be strategic with your self-expression.
Exactly.
Know when to stand out
and
know when to blend in.
Yeah, it's like a chameleon.
Right.
Adapting its colors to its surroundings.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean suppressing your individuality or compromising your values.
It's about choosing your battles.
It is.
Knowing when to assert yourself and knowing when to strategically conform.
Absolutely.
Law 39. Stir up waters to catch fish.
Okay.
This sounds like creating chaos.
Well, it's about recognizing that sometimes the best way to achieve your goals is to shake things up.
Okay.
To disrupt the status quo.
So be a disruptor.
Yeah.
Be a change agent.
Exactly.
Okay.
And Robert Greene gives the example of the Chinese strategist Zhu Liang, who used this tactic to confuse his enemies and ultimately secure victory.
So it can be an effective strategy?
It can.
But you got to use it carefully.
You do. You have to be mindful of the potential consequences.
So use it strategically.
Yes.
Create opportunity.
Yeah, don't just sow chaos.
Don't just create chaos for the sake of chaos.
Exactly.
Okay, we're nearing the end of this part of our deep dive, but I want to get to one more law, Law 40. Despise the free lunch.
Right.
This seems to be about recognizing the hidden costs.
Yeah.
Things that seem free.
There's no such thing as a free lunch.
Right.
Everything comes with a price.
Right.
Whether it's hidden fees or strings attached.
So be wary of anything that seems too good to be true.
Exactly.
Like those free online services that are collecting your data.
Yeah.
Or those offers that come with a hidden catch.
Always read the fine print.
Always read the fine print. Consider these hidden costs.
Absolutely.
It's about being discerning.
It is.
Understanding that value often comes at a price.
Yes.
Whether it's monetary, social, or emotional.
Very well said.
Wow, this deep dive has just been a whirlwind of insights and strategies.
It's amazing how these laws are still so relevant.
They are.
You know, it speaks to the timeless nature of power dynamics.
Right, the players change, the contexts change.
Yeah.
But these underlying principles
remain the same.
Stay the same.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
But there's still more to explore.
There is.
We're going to delve into the final set of laws,
the
last part of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
So stay tuned. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the 48 laws of power.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground, so are you ready to explore the last set of laws?
Let's do it.
All right, Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes.
Right.
This seems to be about legacy.
It is.
About the challenges of following in someone's footsteps.
It is tough to live up to those expectations.
Yeah, you're constantly being compared to this larger-than-life figure.
Exactly.
It's almost impossible to get out of their shadow.
It is. Robert Greene uses the example of Louis the Ext, who was Louis XIV's successor. And he inherited this powerful kingdom.
Yeah.
But he really struggled.
He couldn't live up to.
No, he lacked that charisma that drive that vision.
So how can we avoid this trap?
You have to find ways to differentiate yourself.
To
forge your own path.
Create your own legacy.
Don't try to imitate.
Right.
Or outdo your predecessor.
Right.
But build on their strengths.
Address
their weaknesses. And bring your own unique vision.
Acknowledge the legacy.
Yes.
But break new ground.
Exactly.
Okay, on to Law 42. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter.
Okay.
This sounds kind of ruthless.
It does sound ruthless.
Yeah.
But it's about recognizing that sometimes it's better to target the source of power.
Right.
The leader, your influencer.
Okay.
Rather than their followers.
So be strategic.
Yes.
Focus on the head of the snake.
precisely like Cesare Borgia.
Right.
He targeted the leaders of his enemies because he knew their followers would scatter.
That's powerful, but also risky.
It is. You have to be careful.
What if you miss the target?
Exactly. This isn't a tactic to be used lightly.
Right.
It requires planning and precise execution.
So use it with caution. Only when it's really necessary.
And when you have a high degree of confidence in your ability. Yeah.
Law 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others.
Right.
This seems to be about persuasion.
It is.
And influence.
About winning people over to your way of thinking.
Okay. So it's about appealing to both their hearts and their minds.
To their emotions and their beliefs.
Robert Greene uses the example of the Greek orator Demosthenes.
He does.
Who was known for moving his audiences to action.
Powerful speeches.
Powerful speeches. Right?
Yeah, and I think that's what makes a great leader.
Right.
Someone who can inspire and
motivate.
motivate.
With people emotionally.
Exactly. You have to understand your audience, what they value, what they fear.
Yeah, what they aspire to.
Yeah, and then craft a message that resonates.
Right. It's about being a master communicator.
It is.
A storyteller, a visionary.
Yeah, someone who could paint a picture of a future that people want to be a part of.
Okay, Law 44. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect.
Okay.
What's the mirror effect?
It's reflecting back to people their own behavior.
So you're holding up a mirror to them.
Yes.
Making them confront their own actions.
Exactly. And it can be really disarming.
Yeah.
When they see themselves in a negative light, they get defensive and flustered.
Yeah, and they lose their cool.
They do.
Yeah.
But it's a tactic to be used carefully.
Right.
If it's done poorly, it can backfire.
So use it strategically.
Yes.
With finesse.
Exactly.
Okay. Law 46. Never appear too perfect.
Right.
This is interesting, especially with social media today.
It is. There's a lot of pressure to present a perfect image.
Right.
But perfection can actually breed envy and resentment.
Right, because it makes other people feel
insecure.
Insecure, right.
Inadequate.
Yeah. So it's better to show a little vulnerability.
Yeah. Let people see your human side.
Yeah.
Like Cosimo de' Medici.
Okay.
He downplayed his wealth and his influence. He appeared very unassuming and accessible.
And that made him less threatening.
Exactly.
It's a good reminder that we're all human.
Yeah.
We all have flaws and imperfections.
And embracing those flaws can actually make you more likable.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Law 47. Do not go past the mark you aimed for. In victory, learn when to stop.
Okay.
So this is about knowing when to quit while you're ahead.
It is.
Right.
It's about recognizing that victory can be fleeting.
Okay.
When you've achieved your goal.
Yeah.
It's often wise to consolidate your gains.
Okay.
And not push your luck.
Don't get greedy.
Don't get greedy, exactly. It's about avoiding hubris.
Right.
Becoming overconfident.
Right.
And losing sight of the bigger picture.
And we've seen that happen throughout history.
Oh, all the time.
Right. Leaders who overreach.
Yeah.
Get intoxicated by their success.
Yeah. And it leads to their downfall.
It's a reminder to stay grounded.
It is.
Stay focused.
Yeah.
Know when to walk away.
Yep.
Okay, last law, Law 48. Assume formlessness.
Okay.
This sounds a little mystical.
Well,
what does it mean to be formless?
It means to be adaptable.
Okay.
Flexible, fluid.
Okay.
Robert Greene says to be like water.
Be like water.
Okay.
Adjust to circumstances.
Yeah.
Flow around obstacles.
Right.
Find the path of least resistance.
So be resilient.
Yeah.
Be able to change, evolve.
In a world that's constantly changing.
Right.
That adaptability is essential.
That's a powerful message to end on.
It is.
Be adaptable. Be flexible. Be like water.
I like it.
This has been an incredible journey.
It has.
We've explored the intricacies of power.
All those strategies.
The strategies of influence, these timeless laws that govern human behavior.
Yeah. What are your final thoughts?
As you're navigating your own life.
Yeah.
Remember to observe the power dynamics at play.
Absolutely. Be mindful of the long game.
Right.
These 48 laws are tools.
Right.
Use them wisely and ethically. I love that. And for our listeners who want to learn more, definitely check out Robert Greene's book, The 48 Laws of Power.
Great book.
As you go about your day, think about the power dynamics in your own life.
Yeah.
Which laws have you observed? Which ones have you used maybe unconsciously?
Right.
How can you use this knowledge to navigate your own path to power?
Good questions.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep on diving deep.